Right now, Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister is speaking.
The men and women
to
of the
publicly
Hillsborough
address an
County
academic
Sheriff's
cheating
Office
scandal. Let's go ahead and
have
listen in
earned
live.
this community's trust through years of honorable service. And that trust will never be diminished by the mistakes of a few. This investigation began when we learned that a member of our office received outside assistance in completing academic coursework that they were required to do themselves. Upon learning of this misconduct and that it may involve additional employees, I immediately launched an agency-wide investigation. And this search revealed additional personnel were involved. In light of these developments, I added 2 additional investigators and 4 investigative supervisors to the internal affairs team. My goal was to expedite the process and ensure the investigation was handled thoroughly. To the entire team, this investigation was tough on all of you. Thank you. I made a promise over 8 years ago that transparency, accountability, and professionalism would be the bedrock of this sheriff's office. These values are not optional, they are essential. The public's trust depends on the confidence that we are honest, transparent, and willing to hold ourselves accountable when we fall short. These actions represent a lapse in judgment and a breach of the higher professional and ethical standards that law enforcement must hold ourselves to. Former Chief Deputy Collins, Colonels Hannaford and Rule, along with Captain Rivera, recognized that their actions did not meet this standard. They accepted responsibility and with grave humility tendered their resignations. These decisions were not easy, but they were the right ones. Based on the sustained findings, I terminated the employment of Captains Stearns and Johnson. I want to be clear. I will not stand here and condemn the individuals involved in this matter. They are not bad people. They are respected leaders, decorated professionals, and compassionate human beings, mothers, fathers, husbands, and wives who have collectively spent decades protecting and serving our community. They have responded to emergencies in the middle of the night, comforted victims of tragedy, bridged the gap with our community, and mentored countless young deputies. Their records are filled with examples of courage, sacrifice, and honor. What occurred here was not about a lack of ability or care. It was a shortcut, a moment of poor judgment, a choice that, while wrong, was not malicious. In a separate, unrelated matter, we began looking into Major James Jackson, who was working off-duty jobs during his normal work hours. Upon learning this, I asked for a comparison of all salaried employees, looking at their work hours and their off-duty employment. We found several overlaps, but we also discovered that our policy did not prohibit them from flexing additional hours accrued from after-hours meetings, holidays, weekends, overnight call-outs, and activities such as charity events. The individuals with overlaps were exonerated, and our policy was updated so this will never happen again. And the affected employees will forfeit their accruals to compensate for the overlap. Major James Jackson was on that list. And investigators also discovered he violated several agency procedures regarding off-duty employment and the acceptance of gratuities. If he had not chosen to retire, I would have terminated his employment for these violations. As your sheriff, I shoulder the full burden of responsibility. We will learn from this, we will grow from this, and we will be better because of this. At this time, I'll attempt to answer any questions you may have.
Sure. I have to ask you, why not have an independent outside agency like the FTLE or FBI investigate this? Because it's my understanding from our previous briefing here that you were able to find find out some of these people use services of Mr. Roush by their internal emails, their sheriff's office emails, but
Correct.
not able to investigate their personal emails. So, first off, why not have an outside agency investigate? And secondly, do you have any concern that people were able to utilize their personal emails to communicate with Mr. Roush and thereby not caught by this investigation?
Yeah, great question. I firmly feel that we have the best investigators in the business. When you look at our clearance rate, when you look at the packet you were provided, over 6,371 pages of information, it shows each and every one of you just how thorough our investigators are. This isn't criminal. FDLE, FBI wouldn't have access to an employee's personal emails no different than we have access to their personal emails. What we did is control everything that was within our ability. We left no stone unturned, making sure that we were extremely thorough. We even flew investigators up to New Hampshire to meet with the paper writer and interview him, where he admitted writing papers for every one of the employees involved. We left no stone unturned.
So you said it's not criminal, but these individuals use Mr. Roush to complete their coursework, thereby in career advancement training, they were able to advance their careers, increase their salaries, and one could say this is theft of services. Wouldn't that be a criminal investigation that could involve an outside agency?
Absolutely, and I hear what you're saying. If this was the sole reason that these individuals were promoted, you're 100% correct. All this is to make yourself eligible for promotion. There's so many different factors that go in and that we weigh on when we sit here and we make promotions at any level. Whether they take a promotional exam, it just creates eligibility and puts you on the list where you're available for selection. To be quite honest with you, in 2024, I stopped having that requirement be a part of the eligibility process because I didn't see the value in it. So I stopped that back in 2024. So again, if this was the sole purpose of why this person was going to be receive some type of career advancement, I agree with you. It played one small part, and it was only the part of they became eligible.
So why allow some people to resign versus terminate them? Because this is an integrity issue, and most of these people have now been put on the Brady list.
Yeah.
They can no longer testify, so their services beyond their careers are nullified.
Yeah, they paid with their careers. Their careers in law enforcement are over. Every single person had the opportunity to resign. The two that I terminated made a decision that they were going to continue to go through the process. They wanted to come into internal affairs. They thought it wasn't as egregious as I felt, and they thought that they could win or make sure the allegations against them were not sustained. That wasn't the case. I met the investigative team afterwards. They assured me that there was no evidence presented to the contrary of these allegations being sustained. At that point, I terminated their employment.
Why did they use Roush, and did he say that there was anybody else within this department or any other that his services were utilized?
I don't know why. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I've said this before. I never knew there was such a service that you could pay someone and compensate them to write papers for you. I had no idea until this came to light. He didn't acknowledge that he wrote papers for anyone else. Period, and he left it at that.
Outside of these 6, do you think there are any other employees of the Sheriff's Office that have academic integrity violations?
Yeah, another great question. I have no idea. I could sit here and speculate, but again, I'm not in a speculation business. I'm in the fact business. And again, it would be irresponsible for me to sit here and speculate. From what I'm being told and what I've learned subsequent to this going on for the last 3 weeks, is that when he lived here, he was very popular. That he wrote papers for a lot of different people, from military to law enforcement to everyday individuals that were going to college. I don't know who was involved and not involved.
And when it comes to Mr. Roush, what was he alleged to have done with these 6?
You have to speak up. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
When it comes to Robert Roush, what was he alleged to have done with these 6 and helped him in what way?
Complete. Robert Roush was, when we met with him, because he was the person from the metadata, not just emails at the beginning, but metadata that we uncovered. He was the author of these papers. A lot of people ask me, do you think he was a tutor? He may have been a tutor, but what we do know at this point is some people took it too far.
My colleague just asked you if anyone else was involved, and your answer was, I don't know. Isn't
Yeah.
that enough of a justification to call in another agency and look into all this so that you can find out?
You keep bringing that up. What would I call an outside agency and have them do, though? What would they have access to that we don't have access to? What would be different? That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have the best investigators in the business. You see the thorough packet that you have. There's nothing from an outside agency that would have come in and done that we didn't do, and the proactive steps that we took to do it.
Several of the people implicated in this investigation attended St. Leo University. Do you know if Roush wrote papers for any of them while they were attending school there?
I do not know. I
All right, you've been listening live there to Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister speaking publicly for the first time since allegations of cheating surfaced inside his department. It has led to 6 high-ranking officials to either be fired or resign for cheating on advancement tests and tests for the FBI. He said as cheating allegations surfaced, he immediately launched an investigation. He called this a breach of professional and ethical standards of his department. He called those involved respected leaders and good people with upstanding records, but called this a moment of poor judgment.
Yeah, he also says they've paid for those poor choices with their careers at this point. And in the midst of this investigation, the sheriff says the name Major James Jackson came up as well as violating off-duty employment and taking gratuities. He has since resigned. Chronister says policies on overtime, they're now being changed within the department. The sheriff says he takes full responsibility for this and that the agency is going to move forward and learn from this, stressing that this coursework was not the sole reason for these officers' promotion, but they did lead to eligibility, which all stopped in 2024 when the sheriff decided that the papers shouldn't be part of that eligibility process.
Yeah, Sheriff Chronister saying ultimately nothing criminal here has been done, although you could tell by the tone of his voice he's very agitated, very disappointed about what's happened in his department. He did mention the man up in New Hampshire who is helping them cheat is not in trouble as well. He said he did not want to speculate as to why any of these deputies or captains or lieutenants or whoever commanders ever used some of his services before.
He said he was popular in the area with other organizations as well. So we'll continue to monitor those comments there and keep you updated with today's information.